This will provide you a brief overview of connectors and how they're used. There are other tutorials that illustrate how to actually develop a connector for a specific target, for example, ACT or SalesLogix or Sage CRM or Goldmine. A connector is used by Inaport to connect to the data source and the data target. This diagram gives you a high-level overview of how Inaport might be used in your organization. You can see here, for example, that we can pull from any of a number of data repositories, pass the data through Inaport and write it into your CRM system. You can also use Inaport to pull data from your CRM system, transform the data and write it back to the same system, or you can pull from the data, transform it and write it out to some external repository. All of these areas require connections to the source and the target data. So the connector is used to read data from the source and write data to the target. To build a connector, you'll generally require the location of the data or the server that the database is on. Quite often some login information, username and password. Typically you will want the login to have administrative privileges on the data source or the data target. And depending on the type of the data, there'll be some optional configuration information. Connector Manager is used to create, edit and store connectors. It's available from the Tools menu. So you go Tools, Connector Manager, and that will open up a dialog box. It'll give you a tree view in the left-hand pane and allow you to create, edit, store connectors. Each connector is given a name, and that name is used by all profiles. There is another tutorial that discusses what profiles are. A connector editor is used to edit a specific connector. Each different type of data source, for example, ACT, Excel, Access, SQL Server, SalesLogix, has a specific editor that holds the information required for that specific data source, provides on-screen help, and the connector often has business logic in it that understands the data source, for example, SalesLogix, Sage CRM, or Goldmine. The benefits of using a connector are all the connection data is stored in the connector, not in the profile. The profile is the job that moves the data from the source to the target. The profile is, using a connector, the profile is isolated from the specific information about a connection. Means that you can have multiple profiles using the same connector. If you change the connector, all the profiles change without being touched. For example, if you build a bunch of profiles looking at a test database and then move to a production database, it also means that a developer can be working on a connector and then email it out to the user, and as long as the local connector points to the local data store, all will be well. That concludes this brief presentation. I invite you now to go back to the menu and select the tutorial that illustrates how to build the type of connector that you're interested in. Thank you.